One thing that's really interesting when you're working on people's hair is that you're in their intimate zone, and people tell you lots of things when you're working so closely to them. And one of the things that I hear a lot of is about people talking about their weight and how their weight makes them feel. And quite often, that people are on crash diets, they're, doing all sorts of weird and wonderful diets and new diet fads and things. And I've always thought, well, that can't be really good for you. So one of my missions was to find out a little bit more, be a bit more educated with this, because I feel it's my responsibility, if you're doing somebody's hair and you're working there and you're having those sort of conversations, to at least understand it a little bit more. Now, one thing I'm really, really excited about is that I've got my friend Dan Lewin, and Dan is a nutritionist, and he's going to be running a workshop in the Salon, and I'll let him tell you about that in a minute. But we're going to be running a workshop in the Salon where we go over a little bit more about this, or quite in depth about this. So without further ado, I'd love to introduce Dan to you. And Dan, thank you so much for being in this call. Really appreciate your time. So Dan, just tell us a little bit about this workshop. What's going to happen?
Thanks so much for having me on the call, Steve. So the workshop that I'm doing, it's all about a framework for health and well-being that's called Health at Every Size. So it's an evidence-based approach that uses the non-diet approach. So essentially, this is about using our own internal cues of hunger and fullness, using skills like mindful eating to develop a positive relationship with food. So I guess the crux of it is that it's about, rejecting diet mentality and culture, because so many people come to me and say, just dieting doesn't work, but they just keep on going around and around on that, on the yo-yo cycling diet, that, they're looking for an alternative, but they just don't know what to do.
Just tell us a little bit about your background, Dan, where you're coming from.
Yeah, for sure. So I'm an accredited practicing dietitian nutritionist, and I work for FMB Wellbeing, and we specialize in the treatment of eating disorders, disordered eating, and also weight and body image concerns. So typically, that body image dissatisfaction is actually a key driver for these, dieting behaviors. So we also work on people with body image issues, and work on, the self-acceptance coming from a place of self-compassion. So it's about joyful movement and looking after yourself rather than that self-hatred that we're, that's the message we get, in culture. So, we come from that self-compassion language.
Yeah. Okay. So what you're saying really, I suppose, is that, you're looking at health rather than body shape, because we're sort of dictated to, aren't we, so much by media, and my industry, like being a hairdresser, I see it all the time in the salon, but sometimes someone can look really beautiful, but they don't have to be stick thin to be really beautiful or anything like that.
That's exactly right. Yeah, Health at Every Size is all about adopting health behaviors for the sake of health and well-being rather than weight control. And we actually know that good health comes, in all shapes and sizes. Just because someone is in a thin body, it doesn't make them healthy. I like to use the example that there are people in a bigger body that can run marathons. They're of good health. But there's people in a thin body who don't do any, movement, who have poor nutrition, and they may have a chronic disease, for example. So, good health occurs across the weight spectrum. And that's really, what we're trying to do here is support people to take up health behaviors for good health. Yeah.
So we're talking about doing this an evening, aren't we? Where we get everybody together, which sounds really cool. I mean, it's quite unique, I think. I've certainly never been to an event like that. But we're talking about doing an evening on Tuesday, the 11th of April, around about 6:30, that sort of time, where we can invite some people along. And, viewers, you're all invited. You just need to, maybe we'll sort out something. I'll put something underneath this video where, you can contact us because we've only got limited space for this. But just go over a little bit about what you're going to be talking about on that evening, Dan.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm really going to unpack some of these issues. So, definitely spend a bit of time about talking about the current culture around, food and body, and then really look into what is the non-diet approach and what does that mean for your everyday life? What are the kind of skills that would support you to build up rather than using external sources to make food choices? So there's a lot of engagement there. I do a couple of activities, so already giving you a few skills that you can walk away with even within half an hour. And I invite everyone to complete a form, and it's called the Intuitive Eating Scale. So it's something that we do in private practice, but this is a little bonus. I get everyone to do that, and I take it home and I score it, and then I email everyone individually with a little bit of personal insight for them in their own unique situation.
Right, cool. And so the evening, if you could say, right, this would be the ideal person that really should come along to this, who would be your ideal person?
Yeah, I guess the ideal person is someone who's just struggling with their relationship with food and body. And for people who have just been trapped in that diet culture and really, just chronic dieting over the years, perfect candidate to come along and learn about an approach that will help them look after themselves.
Cool. That sounds excellent. Yeah, it's really refreshing to hear something so different rather than the next sort of fad diet. We see so many in the salon. There was a few years ago now where people were taking this liquid nutrition, supposedly nutrition, and their hair was falling out. Literally, I can remember doing people's hair and literally having handfuls of hair. Almost like female pattern balding across the top there. Where their body obviously was just not coping with it. There's losing loads of weight. But...
Look, and again, losing weight does not equal good health.
No.
Absolutely not. And I mean, we know that 95% of people who attempt to lose weight will actually gain it back, plus more. We're supporting people to, develop their own autonomy around food. Rather than relying on other people telling them what they should eat. There's so many misconceptions around nutrition these days. So it's always good to hear it from a professional. And really, one of the key messages that I support and empower people with is that all food can have a place in the diet. And give yourself permission to eat all foods, both physically and emotionally. Because really. Food plays a really important role in our life, and it should be something that we take pleasure in. But I think that's something that a lot of people basically don't encounter anymore. They've lost that aspect, and their eating experience is actually a negative one. And we support people to flip that around and create a positive eating experience because that gives good psychological well-being. Food is not just about physical health. It contributes to good mental health as well. I think that's really important that most people don't consider. Yeah.
I totally agree with that because I can remember several times doing photo shoots with, these with some professional models and they were so grouchy because of the diets they were on. Really miserable. Beautiful looking girls, but so miserable.
My gosh, low energy diets. Are actually really bad, not just physiologically, you're starving your body, but mentally. Yeah. It's really not healthy for your emotional and mental health to be literally starving your body.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Right. Interesting. So the Tuesday 11th of April, 6:30. Yeah, is that right?
6:30.
And what's the best way of them getting in contact, Dan, if they'd like to come along?
Yeah, fantastic. So to register, either email me directly, Dan, D-A-N, at foodmindbody, so FOODMINDBODY.com.au, or call me personally on 0428 934 733.
Fantastic. Dan, thanks so much for your time. It's really good to chat with you, and I'm really looking forward to the evening. I think it's going to be very, very interesting, quite interesting and unique.
Yeah, thanks so much, Steve. Really appreciate your support. As you know, we've got to know each other, well over the last 6 months, and it's great to have someone on board like yourself. Thanks so much.
Bye, Dan.
Cheers.